Story 1. My dad was dying and my mother was losing her mind. I needed to be by his bedside. They said to take all the time I needed, not to worry about sick leave, not to worry about vacation time, and not to worry about any aspect of my job. Just focus on my family. And they paid me for it. Story 2. A generous paid time off policy allows employees to rest and recharge, making them more effective at work. Many companies fail to provide adequate flexibility for their employees. Story 3. I am a pilot for a large global charter company. Last May, my father was hospitalized, and it was not looking good. I called the on-duty manager to inform them that my father was having issues, and I might need to shorten my 8-day tour in a couple of days. 20 minutes later, they arranged a rental car to Denver, as I was in the mountains at the time, and booked flights to Tampa, where my father was located, along with a rental car in Tampa for the rest of the week. All expenses were covered by the company, and no manager called to instruct me to make up the time. They simply let me go. Without that cooperation and arrangement, I would not have been able to see my father in his last few days, and I am forever thankful to my company for their support. Story 4. Unlimited sick days with managers who encourage their use. Why force people to come in while sick and risk spreading illness to the rest of the team? Story 5. I know a company that provides a $500 allowance each year for healthy lifestyle expenses such as gym memberships, dog food, grooming, and athletic clothing. Story 6. My mother and I worked together at a restaurant. At that time, I was 13 years old and she was 12 years old, both working in the same place. She unexpectedly passed away, and the company paid for the funeral. They closed the restaurant on the day of her passing and the day of the funeral. Most of the workers attended, and some were even pallbearers. The company told me to take all the time I needed. I only took a full week off because I felt like I was going crazy if I didn't return to work to take my mind off it. They also gave me that week's pay. When I came back, they handed me an envelope with $400 in tips that everyone saved up for that week. The more I share this story, the more I realize how unusual it is for companies to even think of such a thing, let alone do it. Story 7. I work in software startups, so I've been a bit spoiled with minimum vacation time taken. It is important to require employees to rest and recharge. Story 8. The way things have been lately feels challenging. A simple check-in from management or team leaders asking, "How are you doing? What can I help with?" would make a difference. It seems like everyone is going at it alone these days with little team building, onboarding, mentorship, or compassion. Story 9. Good maternity leave policy. Employers offer 6 weeks of paid, non-consecutive leave for new fathers, adoptive fathers, and adoptive mothers. Biological mothers receive 12 weeks. This time can be used within the first year for bonding, appointments, and other related activities. Story 10. When my dad was still working, he paid all costs for healthcare and daycare for his employees. Story 11. Stock options and the highest pay for that type of work in the area attract individuals with a vested interest in the company's success. People will feel fortunate to be your employees. Become known for treating your employees well. Celebrate their successes, even in their personal lives, by providing extra bonuses for new parents and newlyweds, celebrating birthdays, and offering support when someone is sick or injured. That's the kind of company I would like to work for, regardless of whether they make cars, sell ice cream, build skyscrapers, or engage in any other business. It is possible to treat people well and succeed in business. You just have to be committed to it. Story 12. The company I worked for offered a week of paid leave if you adopted a dog from a local shelter to help you bond. They referred to it as paternity leave. Story 13. Generous paid time off and the ability to earn compensatory time are available. Remote work is an option for those who desire it. In my last job, I received a wardrobe stipend along with a small business professional clothing loan, which had a limit of $500. We could purchase work clothes, and the company would cover the cost, deducting $25 from each paycheck until the loan was paid off. It was a great option that I utilized to significantly enhance my wardrobe. Story 14. My old workplace had a summer Fridays policy. Every Friday during the summer months, The office closed at 1 p.m. so we could make the most of the nice weather. Story 15. Work from home is an option if your job doesn't require you to be in an office. Granted, my company doesn't provide that option, but it would definitely be a perk if they did. 3 years of surveys in a row have shown that working from home has been the top request, and they still ignore it. Story 16. It is extremely disheartening to read these comments from what I assume are mostly Americans, stating perks that are literally the bare minimum legal requirements in most European countries. Story 17. When my cat was diagnosed with cancer, my employer allowed me to work from home for over a month before the pandemic so that I could be around him as much as possible. Unfortunately, he did not survive, but that flexibility at a time when it was much less common gave me so much more time to be with him and care for him than I otherwise would have. Story 18. The owner of the company I work for decided that no one should have to pay more than $1,500 for a single hospital stay, regardless of insurance coverage. I have not been here long, just 4 months after being laid off from my previous job of 17 years, and I have not personally experienced this situation. However, it really amazed me when it was mentioned during my benefits discussion while being on board. The pay here is 33% less than what I was previously making, but I feel valued in a way I have not felt before. Story 19. Paying a living wage is the key benefit that makes employees feel valued. Corporations often dislike this effective strategy. Story 20. High pay. The focus is on meeting deadlines and achieving results rather than when or where you work. Mistakes are accepted. Story 21. My company organizes parties for employees' birthdays. They buy lunch for the office and cupcakes or a dessert of the person's choice. Sodas, tea, drinks, and snacks are provided for free. We have a flexible paid time off and remote work policy. Story 22. This always stood out to me. My mom was the janitor at a company during my childhood. Every year for Secretary's Day, she was included in the big luncheon hosted by the executives. I always thought that was really nice. Story 23. Survivor benefits for the employee's family in the event of their passing include half of the salary for 10 years and immediate vesting of restricted stock units. The schedule extends over 10 years, starting at 100% and ramping down to 25% at the end, allowing the survivors time to adapt. Story 24. I don't understand America. All the great things listed in this post are standard rights in most Western countries, except America. Story 25. We offer 15 vacation days, 12 paid holidays, 12 sick days, and 3 personal days each year, along with fully employer-paid health, dental, and retirement benefits. Our wages are competitive, with annual raises of 5 to 10%, though we could only offer 2% from 2020 to 2023. Remote work is available where possible. I plan to increase the vacation days to 20 next year. We have 28 employees and have only experienced 1 resignation, 2 retirements, and 1 termination in the past 15 years. Most of our staff have been with us for less than 5 years as we continue to grow. Story 26. My boss will randomly hand out gift cards throughout the year for dining at Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, Cracker Barrel, and other restaurants. Story 27. My wife has life days in addition to her 25 days of paid time off each year. She is turning 40 this year, so she will receive an extra day off if she requests it. This includes the first day of school for the kids and my birthday last year. She used a significant amount of time off during my illness in 2023 and 2024, and she took a lot of paid time off which they reimbursed her for, citing family emergency. That's the kind of company one wants to work for. Story 28. Not a perk, but the job I just started paid me for the homework assignment they asked me to complete as part of the interview process. It was hourly, so I earned about $800 and got the job. A significant positive sign. Story 29. Money. I have never been interested in anything a company has to offer me other than cash. Story 30. I work in a good company that cares a lot about its employees. Many aspects have already been mentioned, but here's an additional detail that speaks for itself. A variety of pads, wet wipes, and deodorants are available in every women's restroom throughout the office building. I haven't been in the men's restrooms for obvious reasons, but I assume they also have what is needed. Story 31. I had an uncle who was like my second dad. He had been battling leukemia on and off for 13 years. He had another cancer scare, and his doctor gave him a week to live. Friends and family were coming from all over the country to see him one last time. I took 3 days off work, along with my 2 days off, totaling 5 days. When I returned to work, I was called into my boss's office, and he told me it was unacceptable. He mentioned that he was going through a divorce, which is similar, yet he was able to go to work. Then Human Resources called me into their office and said that because he was my uncle, it didn't qualify for bereavement leave. I quit not long after for other reasons. My uncle lasted another 6 months before he passed. By that time, I had been with my new company for about 4 months. Everyone at my new job knew what was going on. I called my boss, crying that I had a family emergency. He was completely understanding and told me to let him know if I needed anything. I went in for my next shift, and my boss called me into his office. Instead of reprimanding me, he asked how I was doing, if I was okay with working that day, and if I needed more time. They even offered bereavement leave for the day he passed and the day of his funeral. That was probably the best company I ever worked for. Story 32. I work for a small brewery that is unlike anywhere else I have ever worked. We are paid for 40 hours whether or not we work that amount, although we usually put in between 33 and 45 hours depending on the workload. We also receive overtime pay if we exceed 40 hours. Our boss contributes $200 per month toward our health insurance premiums, reducing individual insurance plans from about $280 to approximately $80 per month. Additionally, we are provided with a gym membership, which we must use at least 4 times a month. The company also covers 6 cognitive therapy visits per year. Occasionally, the boss fires up the grill out back and cooks burgers and hot dogs. Even on my worst days, I find this job incredible, and I will always be thankful I found this place. Story 33. They match our retirement savings plan up to 6% and allow us to sell back 2 weeks of paid time off at the end of the year or roll it over. We receive 4 weeks to start with. They understand that we work for the money. Story 34. Lee Valley. CEOs cannot make more than 10 times the lowest paid employee. That means a significant amount in a capitalist world. Story 35. I have had 2 jobs where they assign projects with a due date, and your time is organized into 2-week blocks. You have 80 hours in those blocks to complete your projects. You can work a significant number of hours upfront to finish your tasks, put in 10-hour workdays, and take a 3-day weekend every other week to do what you want. Story 36. Daycare reimbursement was based on a sliding scale. As an entry-level employee, I was at the bottom range where we received 50% reimbursement. This assistance was a huge help. Story 37. My wife was suddenly admitted to the hospital due to her pregnancy. I called work on the way to meet her there and informed them I would be out for at least the next day, uncertain about what else to expect. We had our son 2 months early, and he was admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit until his due date. When I returned from several days of leave, my supervisor organized a baby shower where everyone contributed prepaid debit cards to cover travel to and from the hospital as well as any meals we needed. The administrative team set up my parental leave for when we expected my son to come home, and most of my leadership regularly checked in on me, my wife, and our son. When it was time for my leave, my supervisor checked on my tasks to ensure nothing arose that would disrupt my time off. Due to my son's early birth, he had several health issues that required unexpected days off. Each time, I was told to take care of my family and to worry about work later. Those people have my absolute loyalty. Story 38. My husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor last year, specifically primary central nervous system lymphoma. Soon after, I learned about my company's caregiver leave policy, which provided me with up to 6 weeks of paid leave to be taken all at once or intermittently as needed. I was amazed and immensely grateful. I'm happy to report that my husband went into remission in November, had a stem cell transplant in December, and just today had his 3-month post-transplant MRI, which was beautifully clear. Story 39. Solid maternity leave, along with paternity leave, demonstrates that the company acknowledges you have a life outside of work. It also shows that they understand you will be more productive if given sufficient time to transition into this new phase of your life. Story 40. Just complete your work on time. It does not matter when during the day where you are or how you do it. Story 41. Many years ago, in 1993, my wife was critically injured in an auto accident and was airlifted to the nearest level 1 trauma center. I sat in the waiting room for 36 hours as she underwent multiple surgeries to repair the damage. I called work on the third day and spoke to the site's human resources manager. He informed me that the operations manager was already aware of my situation and told me not to worry about work, as I had more important things to focus on. He reassured me about my pay, stating that they would continue to compensate me without any need for paperwork or third-party administration. As this was before the Family and Medical Leave Act, they asked me to keep them informed and to return to work when I was able. In the beginning, it was a fantastic place to work, and for a long time I remained as loyal as possible because they supported me. However, after the business was sold, things started to decline under the new owners. It took a long time to erode that loyalty, but they eventually succeeded. By the time I retired, I despised the place. Story 42. We always receive an extra week off during Christmas, in addition to our 4 weeks of paid time off. Sometimes it can be 2 weeks or a week and a half, depending on how Christmas and New Year's fall. We still have on-call duties, but we divide the schedule so everyone gets time off. We also have paid weather days. This year was not particularly severe, so we only had 1 or 2 snow days. Employees have 100% of healthcare costs covered, and family coverage costs 25% of the total. We also work 4 10-hour shifts each week. Story 43. I was surprised when my very traditional corporate-style company implemented 4-day work weeks. I could never go back to a 2-day weekend. Story 44. Paying the full medical insurance premiums for myself and my family, covering additional benefits such as private disability insurance. My previous company provided both, and unfortunately, they assisted me when I went on disability in January 2023. Story 45. In the UK, secure bike parking and showers for cyclists are essential. It is frustrating how many advertise the Cycle to Work scheme as a benefit without providing these facilities. Additionally, on-site free or discounted childcare should be available. Story 46. My father passed away when I had been on the job for less than 6 months. My company inquired about arrangements. I expected to see some coworkers, but I was not surprised that nobody attended since I am the only remote worker in the company and live in a different state. When I went to pay the restaurant for the repast, my company had already called the restaurant and provided a credit card to settle the bill in full. It was not an insignificant amount, as we had over 80 people. This is in contrast to my last job, which gave me a $5 Dunkin' gift card for my 10-year anniversary and a small jar of peanuts for Christmas. Story 47. My company provided a $50 work-from-home stipend during the COVID-19 pandemic to upgrade our home offices. After the pandemic ended, they announced that they would continue the stipend, but if we have no other office improvements to make, we should spend it on a hobby. Story 48. I dislike diverting from the question, but a single benefit does not represent a high-quality company. Consider the classic example of unlimited paid time off. Many individuals have found that it is not truly unlimited. I do not doubt that. However, I worked at a place where it genuinely was. Every quarter, my supervisor encouraged me to ensure I marked my paid time off on the calendar. In the last couple of years, I took a full week off every quarter. This is why it is challenging to assess a company from the outside. They all make the same claims, and you cannot determine their authenticity until you are actually employed there. Therefore, there is no specific benefit I can truly point to. Story 49. I work for a company that has a unique Summer Friday system, allowing us to work 4 10-hour days for 7 weeks between Memorial Day and Labor Day, in addition to our normal paid time off. They are also open-minded and not intrusive about us actually using our paid time off. Regarding compensation, we have profit sharing, actual bonuses, and real raises. For meals, we have lunch catered in regularly. I also worked at a company that provided a ham, turkey, or to turkey every year for Thanksgiving to take home and prepare for our families. Story 50. Generous paid time off. I had 6 weeks, plus an extra week that I purchased from the company. The company was amazing. During a difficult time outside of work, my manager offered me additional time away to focus on what was troubling me. I never felt more valued, and that support was the beginning of my turnaround. Unfortunately, I was laid off during a large shutdown last year. Story 51. Good health benefits. My company covers 90% of my dental expenses, 100% of prescriptions, gym membership, massages, and mental health services. Story 52. High wages, good pension and retirement plans, excellent healthcare packages, reasonable paid time off, and reasonable limitations on use, along with in-house training programs for career advancement. Story 53. One of my team members had their home damaged in a flood a few years ago. She discussed it with me and I supported her idea. She sent an email to my supervisor and the president. The following year, we introduced disaster paid time off. It was limited to 3 days and could only be used to prepare for, evacuate from, or recover from a natural disaster. Since then, I have only had one person need to use it, but it is very helpful to have, especially since most of the team is on the East Coast. Story 54. Companies do not care about their employees. Your individual manager or owner may to some degree, and if you're lucky, they may even advocate for you. But the company does not. If your manager quits or your owner sells, you will realize this. Story 55. Fully paid healthcare in the United States. I am fortunate to work for a company like this. They also cover short-term and long-term disability, provide paid time off from day one, offer 2 weeks of vacation, and have a strong matching retirement plan. They pay significantly above the market rate for staff. I am new, but most of the people here have an average tenure of 15 years. Story 56. This is outside of salary, paid time off, and benefits, which I consider compensation and not a perk. Free or discounted gym memberships. Flexible time, such as the option to work 4-day weeks or start earlier to leave earlier. Training allowance or free or discounted tuition. Story 57. Fertility and adoption benefits save employees tens of thousands of dollars and help them become parents. Additionally, there are generous parental leave policies. Story 58. We have a hybrid work schedule with 2 days in the office and 3 days working from home, which I love. I will never return to 5 days in the office. Additionally, we have summer hours, allowing us to stop working 2 hours early every other Friday while still getting paid for those hours. This company also offers great, reasonably affordable benefits. Story 59. This is my 3rd calendar year working at my company, and each year we have been trying different methods to fit in a 4-day work week. This year, we are taking every other Friday off for the entire year. They are doing it because it makes the employees happy. They also allow us to work from home whenever we need to, and my boss never pushes back on someone taking paid time off. In fact, he reminds us all to make sure we use every single day of it by the end of the year. It is no surprise that most employees have been working there for over a decade, if not their entire careers. I genuinely have never felt so cared for and respected in any job I have had throughout my entire career. Story 60. Not necessarily a perk, but full-time pay for 32 hours of work, at least a month of planned closures to allow people to rest, flexible working hours if possible, health insurance fully paid for, and a wellness stipend. Story 61. Having good insurance that is affordable for employees is important. The type of plan that covers any preventative procedure at no cost, including dental, is essential. At my last company, the insurance was $150 a month. Copays were $30, but everything else my general practitioner provided was completely free. The same applied to dental. There was a $30 copay, but cleanings and cavity fillings were free, with 4 cleanings a year included. Story 62. The owner of our town diner ensures that everyone who works that day receives lunch or breakfast before leaving. It doesn't matter how busy it gets. If a worker is hungry, they eat. The loyalty at this place is remarkable because of this. Story 63. It's not just one thing, but a combination of small elements that create a healthy work environment. Good quality tea and coffee. Fresh fruit available. Flexible start and end times. The ability to take breaks when needed. Quality desk equipment. While the larger benefits, such as vacations and salary, are important, it's surprisingly affordable and simple to implement these smaller improvements which have a greater impact on daily life. I couldn't thrive in a negative work environment, even if my salary were doubled. Story 64. Generous salary, 10% 401k match. A new vehicle every 6 months, 20 holidays per year, unlimited sick time, and a generous paid time off policy of over 25 days. This actually exists. Story 65. It's a small thing, but my company provides an extra $40 per paycheck as a work-from-home stipend. Use it as you wish, pay for your home internet, purchase a walking pad, buy a nice desk, save up for a mechanical keyboard or whatever you need. Alternatively, you can choose not to use it for any of that and simply keep it, we don't mind. Story 66. My old job closed at noon on Friday from June 1st to the last Friday in August. Some of those Fridays we could work from home, such as the beach or wherever we wanted to go on Thursday. We received full pay. Story 67. Good health and social well-being program, good retirement matching, flexible scheduling, opportunities for advancement, and tuition reimbursement. Story 68. I do not expect salaried employees to use paid time off for every minor issue, especially when they are working extra hours or days. At my previous job, 1 week I had already put in almost 50 hours in 4 days and had a doctor appointment on Friday afternoon. And guess what? I had to use a half day of paid time off. Situations like that occurred regularly. Story 69. A pizza party in the break room sounds fun. In reality, I have a company-wide policy in place that will negatively impact my career growth. My management team has reached out and said they will support my career with the company. Additionally, my direct manager, who is much older, supported me in my role as a mother of young children above anything else at work. I appreciate my management team. They are great people. Story 70. The ability to donate paid time off to coworkers in need is rare, like a unicorn among company policies where I live. Story 71. Profit sharing is desired. Some people want better health care. Some people want trivial perks such as donuts or lunch once a week. Others want a nicer boss. Everyone wants more money. Just give me a fair share of the profits, and I'll pay for my own perks, thank you. I once worked for a company that considered a perk to be a company-branded polo or sweatshirt every 3 months, and during the holidays, we received a frozen utility-grade turkey. We calculated that for the 2 weeks they rented a trailer with a freezer to store the turkeys, they could have given everyone $100 instead of the $10 turkey. A fortunate few love their jobs so much they would continue even without payment. For the other 99% of the population, work is primarily for the money. Benefits like group health insurance make sense because employers can often secure better rates on group plans than individuals can on their own. In this case, the benefit outweighs its cash equivalent. For everything else, cash is valuable. Direct deposit is even better. Story 72. It wasn't so much a perk, but when I retired, I wanted to do it on May 31st. They said no, retire on June 1st and we will pay for your health insurance for June. I didn't have to come in on the 1st or complete any other paperwork. It was a nice gesture. Story 73. Flexibility with hourly work is important. Some companies enforce strict arrival and departure times, while others allow for flexibility, understanding that personal commitments such as doctor visits, dentist appointments, and family responsibilities can present scheduling challenges. As long as you complete around 40 hours and communicate effectively, companies with flexible policies usually do not mind how you structure your hours. I have worked in some great places where being hourly felt similar to being salaried in that respect. Story 74. My child exhibited suicidal tendencies, and I quit without notice to be present when it mattered most. They asked why I quit, and I was honest. I explained the situation, and they encouraged me to take as much time as I needed. Once our family healed, they hired me back without judgment. Story 75. If I go online when I'm sick at home, my boss will be upset with me because I should be resting. Previous jobs would complain and ask if I was truly that sick. so it's nice to have an employer who cares. Story 76. A toaster in the kitchen area. In my opinion, it's a simple litmus test. Most offices have a coffee maker and a microwave, which is the bare minimum but not quite enough. Toasters are affordable and easy to use. They warm up a bagel, Pop-Tarts, or other snacks in a way that a microwave cannot. It adds a touch of comfort from home but is often overlooked in a business setting. If they have a toaster, it is because they listened to an employee and fulfilled their request, as there is no reason to resist such a simple need. Story 77. Worrying about culture and mental well-being is important. People are willing to accept lower salaries to work at a place that values work-life balance and their general well-being. Typically, these employees will work harder and perform better than those who are overworked, even if they are paid more. Story 78. Great benefits. Employers decide what is covered, not insurance companies. Current discussions are critical of insurance, but until the United States ends private insurance, it is up to employers to step up and take care of their employees. Story 79. When my wife was in the hospital for cancer treatment, Fonterra paid her until the day she died, 5 months later. Story 80. Treating paid time off as an entitlement means employees can use their time off at their discretion. It is the easiest way to determine if the business is well-staffed and managed. Story 81. We had paid snow days this past winter. Whenever the office is closed for any reason, we receive payment without needing to use paid time off. Story 82. A company that truly cares values work-life balance, flexible hours, mental health support, and real career growth opportunities that matter more than just free coffee and ping-pong tables. Story 83. I worked at Greg's, and the manager came to me before I was sent home sick, saying that no matter what, my health and the health of other employees come before anything else. Story 84. I drive my own vehicle for work, and they cover all my gas expenses. If I need maintenance, they pay for that as well. They also offer excellent benefits and paid time off. Story 85. Oh, and remember, next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. If you want to, feel free to wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans. Story 86. Your company does not care about you. Perks are designed to attract talent. No matter how appealing a perk may be, it is intended to make the company a more attractive place to work compared to its competitors. It has nothing to do with anyone genuinely caring about you. Once you leave the company, you will be forgotten within a week. Story 87. My husband's company has a cafeteria that sells food, and the healthier the options are, the cheaper they are. The company is also sending him to a large corporate conference next month. The purpose of the conference is to facilitate networking and foster relationships while participating in community service activities. It involves 3 days of making friends and serving the community. I love that idea. Story 88. I worked for a family-owned ready-mix concrete supply company in the early 2000s. The company performed very well, operating 8 to 9 plants and employing close to 100 employees with around 70 mixers. At Christmas, all employees were invited to the main office to enjoy delicious catered food. Christmas gifts were raffled off by the dozens, including nice appliances, tools, vacations, gift certificates, and cash. The best part of the event followed the raffle drawings. Every single employee received $1,000 for every year of service. We often recognized our delivery drivers, several of whom had 15 to 20 years of service. I worked there for 5 years. My current employer gifted us all branded tumblers for Christmas. Story 89. Remote work is something I will always advocate for. During the pandemic, it demonstrated how much it could change and increase profits for many companies. Yet, some major companies have the nerve to tell employees to return to the office 5 days a week, and I have worked for one of them. The selfishness from some individuals who say, "You should be in the office because I am in the office and it's not fair," is concerning. It creates unnecessary traffic and increases carbon footprints. Some argue, it's bad for business around the area by the office. However, if a company cannot adapt to change, it should not continue to exist. It's that simple. Story 90. Flexible schedules allow individuals to work in a manner that suits them, as long as the work gets done. If someone wants to put in 60 hours a week because they are dedicated, that is acceptable. If another person functions better with a 4-day week, that is also acceptable. Story 91. A colleague I worked with became addicted to alcohol and hard drugs after his wife passed away. He approached the owner and explained his situation. He requested a few days off to attend rehabilitation. The owner replied, "Take a month. Your job will be waiting for you when you return." Story 92. Our company has a free clinic available for use. I work remotely, so I don't get to enjoy all the amenities. However, they have a stocked fishing pond and a garden plot for employees to use during the day. There is also a full gym with instructors and classes ranging from Pilates to yoga, pickleball tournaments, and CrossFit. The cafeteria offers delicious, affordable homemade food, and you can grab a beer. Occasionally, they treat us to complimentary food trucks as well. Everyone is fantastic, and if you need time to deal with family matters, they allow you to take it without any questions. Story 93. This will probably get buried, but it is essential to focus on effective leadership and management. Too often, I see teams in chaos engaging in inefficient processes and duplicative work, leading to overall disorder because leaders neglect their responsibilities. This results in burnout and distrust. Hire leaders who genuinely understand their roles and prioritize team culture. Story 94. Good bonuses, monetary, not gift cards. Time off when needed, especially for medical leave or family emergencies. Good training, and managers are always willing to help when an issue arises rather than expecting you to figure everything out on your own. Story 95. Bonuses, sick days, half days, work from home days, mental health days, and providing support while working without micromanaging during time off. Story 96. Employees have access to benefits such as health insurance, dental plans, pensions or retirement contribution matching plans, a good overtime policy, and a proper tracking system for leave and overtime. There is no cap on sick days, and there is language around appeals and consequences for abuse. Employees also have access to long-term disability and sick insurance, with managers having the ability to provide compassionate paid and unpaid leave. Story 97. My company offers free lifetime dental and health benefits, as well as travel insurance. However, you need to work for 10 years to qualify. Story 98. The Dutch company where my son works provides all new fathers with 6 weeks of paid paternal leave. This leave does not count against other accrued paid time off. Women receive 8 weeks of paid leave. Story 99. I don't know if there is a definitive answer. I believe we could engage in more honest conversations if we acknowledged the fundamental fact that this is a transaction. The company compensates me with a combination of money and benefits in exchange for my ideas and labor. We repeat this exchange as long as it is mutually beneficial, and we should stop when it ceases to be so. Instead, we operate under a mental model that suggests it should be a semi-permanent arrangement similar to feudalism and the idea of obligation to those less fortunate. I perform my job, I get paid, and there is no need to pretend we are family or that either of us has any hidden obligations to each other. Let's simply fulfill what we agreed to in our contract. Story 100. Resources spent on higher compensation, including higher quality benefits, are diverted away from mandatory fun events. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.